and fighting for equity for our Black and brown students. That takes a toll as well. But just being encouraged when I'm around you guys and seeing your brilliance. Like this right here, this podcast that you guys are doing is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I love what you guys are doing, and there needs to be more of this so that you guys can be involved in positive things like this. I love it.
Welcome back to the Voice of Montbello Podcast. I'm your host, Leah, and I'm here with
Bree.
Today we are here at the 7th Annual Shared Risk and Protective Factor Conference. We are here today to meet people that help youth with their mental illness, and today we're going to be interviewing youth that have dealt with it and want to share their story. Let's check it out.
And we have a special guest.
And my name is Brandon Pryor. Good to be here with you guys today.
Thank you.
I'm the co-founder of a DPS innovation school called the Robert F. Smith STEAM Academy. It's the first HBCU themed high school in America. So,
my question is, what made you want to create a HBCU high school?
just seeing the need for our students of color inside of DPS, the lack of intention on creating positive school environments for our kids, our Black and brown kids in DPS. And we wanted to do something to change that narrative, to create a high quality option specifically for our kids in the far Northeast. And we did just that. We're still growing. We're in our second year. And, looking forward to growing with community and in community. So,
What kind of mental health do you face in your school? Like, what kind of mental health?
I think that some of the issues that our students are facing are very pervasive with youth violence that's going on in the far Northeast. The number of kids that are, involved in gun violence, that have experienced loss to gun violence. Another thing I think that contributes to, some of the mental health issues is the lack of access in our community. And when I say lack of access to all things, everything from quality health care, transportation, quality education, even fun things to do. I live in the far Northeast, and just to go to a movie, you have to travel outside of our community. We don't have anything fun for the youth to do. I think that contributes to some of their mental health issues as well. They recognize subconsciously that, people in charge of this city don't really care about them. They're not taking time to address their needs and wants. So I think that contributes to it, and we have to be intentional on addressing that.
Yeah, how do you think that we can solve gun violence around?
One of the ways I think we solve gun violence is I was listening to a young lady speak in a session just a while ago before we came in here to do this podcast, and she talked about an upstream approach and finding out where these problems are starting and getting to the root cause of problems. And for me, it would be like finding out how these youth are accessing weapons. And they're not buying registered guns. They're finding guns on social media, through friends, family. And when we talk about accessing weapons on social media, I'm learning about a term called MOM, metal on the market. And, certain youth see that phrase and they know they can contact that person to access a firearm. And this is happening. And I think that we need to have some social media reform and start holding these websites and social media sites accountable for the criminal activity that's taking place on their site.
Do you think like you said about social media and how like it's all on there. Do you think that they should like add changes to their policy?
Definitely have changes to their policy, and hold folks accountable. Have some type of, punishment for folks who are, selling firearms to youth illegally online. There's that. Then there's the bullying that takes place online as well that leads to, you know, escalation in situations and kids going from 0 to 100. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot to be said about what's happening on social media.
Have you ever thought about making your own app for for like the youth and all that?
Yeah, I think it's important. And right now I'm working with a couple of folks that are trying to do that or in the process, not trying, but in the process of creating an app for the youth. I work for Denver Metro Community Impact, and I work closely with CU Boulder and their violence prevention team, and they're in the process of trying to create an app around sharing the work that's being done and offering, access for those who want to be involved in this type of work. I think that's important. And I think there needs to be a central location where kids can access information or like a helpline, when experiencing or being involved with, youth violence, or if they're ever in any type of trouble or situation they feel they need help with, having that information central and easily accessible.
Yeah.
I have a question. What kind of mental health? What kind of mental health have you faced in the past?
For me, mental health issues, dealing with loss of loved ones, loss of some of the youth that I've worked with, you know, being involved in coaching and community and schools for the number of years I have, I've seen, students that I've lost to gun violence. I've seen students that I've lost to suicides. And, that takes a toll on your mental health. Another thing, just being in a constant battle with Denver Public Schools and fighting for equity for our Black and brown students, that takes a toll as well. But just being encouraged when I'm around you guys and seeing your brilliance, like this right here, this podcast that you guys are doing is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I love what you guys are doing, and there needs to be more of this so that you guys can be involved in positive things like this. I love it.
Yeah. Before podcasting, I don't know. I was down all the time. I barely smiled, and then my friend Lynn had introduced me to podcasting, and ever since then, it's just made my life so much better. Like I feel like when I make a podcast, I feel like I have a voice that I can use to help people.
That's awesome. I love it. I love the fact that you found something that you're passionate about that, gives you life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just to tell you both, and whoever's listening to this podcast, man, I want to encourage you guys that greatness is not like some far off, distant place. It's not something that you have to, scratch and claw to try to attain. It's not something that, you keep trying to get to. No, greatness is on the inside of you guys.
Yeah.
God has blessed us all with, abilities, gifts, purpose. You know what I mean? And greatness. It's on the inside of you. All you have to do is pull back your cape and reveal, your greatness to the world. You guys
Yeah.
all have it inside of you. And I have a question for you guys. What we're talking about mental health right now, and that's like a common theme, with the youth. And when we're exploring, youth violence prevention, what are some of the things or some of the mental health supports you would like to see in your schools that are not currently in your schools? And it doesn't have to be a traditional like counselor or anything like that. It could be just a space for you guys to be, a lounge, with some video games or somewhere just to decompress. What is it that you guys would want to see that is not currently available for you inside of your schools?
Oh, I'm gonna have to think about that one.
A counselor that, like, a person that listens to you and, like, understands where you're coming from, but is not judging you for what's happening to you.
That's very important because we all go through stuff, but you're not what you're going through. Does that make sense? Whatever you're going through, it doesn't identify who you are. It's just your current state. So that's good. And I think from my perspective, what I've seen is there's a lot of people in front of our students that aren't from our community, that don't look like us, that don't understand where we come from or what we go through. So I agree with you. That's good. What about you?
I say I want to see like health groups, like where if you're struggling with like anxiety, depression, whatever, we can all come together as one and talk about ways that we can like help each other, cheer each other up, be there for each other. Whether we're in an argument or something, I know I'm always have your back and you're always gonna have mine. Like a group like that, I think would be the best.
That's awesome. So we had a healing circle, like with a bunch of Black men that are participating in this conference. And we started that last year at this conference. And we've continued that for a whole year, like every Sunday. So that's what you're talking about is something that we've created, amongst ourselves, in my adult, immediate circle of folks that I work with, got close relationships with, and some that I don't. But I think that's important to have a group of peers, a support group, a dialogue circle, something on a regular basis to kind of uplift you, pour into you. You know what I mean? That's good.
How would you like if a youth came to you and said that I'm struggling with mental health, like any, and they asked you for help, how would you help them?
First, I would try to identify, if I could be of help, and if I couldn't, if this was like beyond, my ability to, jump in and help or intervene, find the right person, the right contact, the right resource to direct that person to, and not just direct them, but have a handoff, because, there's trust issues when we're talking about, mental health and wellness and, trying to support somebody. So if somebody comes to me, specifically, that means because they have a level of trust for me. And I want to respect that if I hand them off to the next person and ensure that, service provider treats them with the same type of, care that I would. So that will be my approach.
Thank you for listening to the Voice of Montbello Podcast. How can we contact you?
You can reach me on Facebook at Brandon Pryor. You can email me at brandon@dmcimpact.org. I'm in community. I'm always around. I'm the co-founder of the Nation Youth Football League. the Lions Den Youth Sports Organization, Robert F. Smith STEAM Academy, and Warriors for High Quality Schools, and also the community site facilitator for Steps to Success. And we're always looking for youth to be involved in our coalition work. And I love to center youth voice, so you guys are always welcome to participate with me. Thank you for having me.